How much is this guy truly worth? How about this guy? How much is he worth? Or this guy right here, how much is he really worth? So this video is going to be a little different than our normal news update video. So if you do happen to enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button. And while you're here, maybe hit the subscribe button as well. So today we're going to hit a bit of a different topic. So it might be not a very popular video, but let's get into the topic here. We're going to discuss prices of our collectibles. Normally, when you're talking about prices, there's either two things you have to consider. So the first one is the value the community puts on something. And of course, this is where we all go to eBay, look at the sold items, and figure out what we're trying to sell, how much it is actually worth on that day. The problem here is that it varies day to day and the price can fluctuate. Of course, you can put up any price tag on anything you want to sell, but the issue here is that you have to find someone who's willing to pay that amount that you want for it. So sometimes that can take a long time, sometimes that can take a short time, but that varies day to day and it depends on if you can find a match to claim victory. So sometimes that can be difficult depending on the rarity of the item you're selling, but you know what? It's a long process. The other price that normally comes into play is more personal. So for example, you might be interested in something and see it listed for a certain price, but it's not worth that price to you. You have your own limit on what you're willing to pay for that item compared to what somebody else has it listed for. For example, I really want a Transformers Siege Omega Supreme to add to my collection. However, currently in my current situation, I'm not willing to drop several $100s on it. So this is my dilemma. Do I wait until it comes down into a price range that I would feel comfortable to afford, or do I have to change my goals and then purchase at a higher price range that I'm comfortable at currently? Sometimes collecting can be a patience game and you gotta be willing to play the long game depending on how you go about things. So, buying and selling toys in the toy community. Now, obviously, like you can see behind me, I like to buy stuff, but I'm really frugal when it comes to buying stuff. So, you know what? I don't want to necessarily pay top dollar for everything. And people are like, well, you don't deserve stuff. I get that, okay? But I do think prices are a little out of control right now. And of course, when we're talking vintage toys, Transformers Generation 1, gijoe Real American Hero, prices are always going to slightly increase. But I think the problem I'm having right now is everyone wants top dollar for their stuff. Let's take the Jetfire, for example. Let's place a value on him for, in this condition, he's really white, $100, okay? We're gonna put him at $100 eBay sold. Now, if I wanted to sell him right now, what do? Do I list him for $100 locally and say, hey, $100 a Jetfire, and maybe sit there for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, hoping that one buyer comes around and buys them for $100? Or, here's a different idea. What if I listed them for $85? And somebody's like, wow, he's supposed to be $100. 85 is a sweet deal. I'm gonna buy them right away. Sold in 2 days. Obviously, as a seller, you'd never wanna leave too much money on the table. But I do feel a lot of sellers out there are sitting on a lot of inventory. The market is a little down to how it goes, but the collectibles are still up in price. People have less money to spend right now. I feel like sellers are sitting on a lot of product, and maybe it's time to like just lower your prices just a little bit. I'll give you another story. I've been to a lot of Transformer conventions before, and you'll go and you'll see, like, you know, behind the shelves, they've got a mint in box Generation 1 Scorponok. Let's put a value on it. They're like $800. And you're like, wow, that's really cool, but guess what? I'm not paying $800 for it. And then I'll come back the next year, and guess what? It's still there on the shelf. Still, they didn't find that person to buy that $800 Scorponok. What if instead of listing it for $800, which, you know, potentially it is worth, if you find that one buyer, you list it for $500 or $600? Now you have a greater chance, because you've reduced the price, that somebody's gonna pick that up. It's gonna create a happy buyer, a seller's gonna move a product and get revenue. So this is my thing. But as a person who likes to do their collection on the cheap, I've just noticed prices are increasing dramatically. I'm just putting this video out here. As a seller, if you're a seller out there, you don't always need to list your items for top value and sit on that product for a long time. An option is to reduce your price, sell it at a bit of a discount, and I guarantee you that product will move quicker. And you know what? People are like, but I'm missing out on money. But are you really missing out on money if the product is not selling and you're sitting on it? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree that prices on vintage toys are getting a little out of hand right now? I mean, I wish I could send a message to myself 20 years in the past and be like, buy every G.I. Joe and every Transformer you come across on this thing called Facebook. Because my collection would be a million times bigger if I could listen to myself and buy all those toys back at those prices 20 years ago compared to what they are now. Because people were just giving away G.I. Joes and Transformers like, I don't want these anymore. And of course, everyone's like that. Every generation's like that. But I do feel prices are a little out of control right now. And this is just a little video I put together to be like, you know what? Maybe we don't all need to charge the perceived value of everything if we want stuff to move and flow within the community. But really, in the end, aren't collectors shooting themselves in the foot? Because if I'm charging you high prices to get your item, when you go to sell something, you're going to charge your high price to get something too. So it's like kind of like a vicious circle where we're just kind of overcharging each other. Where, I mean, if we just charge each other less, wouldn't it be better for everyone? Think about it.